visceral need to get out of my parents' house again because I was living large before. I was in hotels.
Yeah.
It was such a good life right before that happened. I was there only 4 months, but it was a wild, maybe longer, maybe 6 months. It was a wild 6 months because the company was in hyper growth, and we went during that 6 months, I think, from it was something like 15 million in revenue to like 25 million. Like it was pretty good growth. And
all right. So today I have on Alex Berman. He is an agency owner. He's the owner of Experiment 27. They help other agencies to do outreach. He specializes in B2B lead gen, but he pretty much covers the gamut in terms of every type of prospecting, sales, inside sales, outside sales, lead generation. Alex has done it all, and he helps everyone by teaching what he knows on YouTube. So Alex, thank you for coming on today.
yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I know you saw the questions. They're mostly about sales. So if you're ready, you want me to just jump into these?
Let's do it.
Great. So before the call, we were talking a little bit about how, you're getting into the entertainment industry now. You're trying to sell, I think it was a TV show. You already worked, produced a movie. And that kind of gets at this first question, which is your channel covers so many different topics. So the one theme that runs through all of it is sales, how to pitch ideas, how to package ideas and products, and then sell them to people. How did that become the focus of your channel? How did you decide to double down on the skill of sales and prospecting?
So I decided to take the channel seriously when I was CMO at we were a startup that sold lead gen. And basically it was my job to create YouTube videos, but I didn't take it seriously at all at that point. Like I hadn't really edited content. I was just kind of making YouTube videos that backed up Quora questions I would answer because Quora was our big lead gen channel. And then at a certain point, that company fell apart and it was going under quick and I could feel it. And the boss would take longer and longer to respond to my message. And so at that point, I realized as I was missing paychecks and had to move back in with my parents that I needed to start taking it seriously if it was going to save, I needed something to keep me afloat. And so YouTube became just a platform for accountability there. And so I decided to think of it kind of like a TV channel and do 3 videos a week. And then I thought of the audience, and the audience was my old boss when I worked as director of marketing at a digital agency in New York. And I was like, what kind of content would this guy want? And the answer I thought of was anything that was super tactical, super B2B related. So for a good year and a half after that, I released 3 videos a week, all only thinking of that avatar. And then the avatar, widened a little bit. Now we're talking about music. I helped my brother get a job in music, and like we're doing TV and all this stuff now too. But that's, it all stems from that initial decision of who am I going to make videos for? And then that visceral need to get out of my parents' house again because I was living large before. I was in hotels. It was such a good life right before that happened. I had to get back.
And how long was that for that you were doing that you were seeing over that company?
I was there only 4 months, but it was a wild, maybe longer, maybe 6 months. It was a wild 6 months because the company was in hyper growth, and we went during that 6 months, I think, from it was something like 15 million in revenue to like 25 million. Like it was pretty good growth in 6 months. It was good. And people were talking about buying us and all this shit. Like it felt, I don't know how much of that was true or not, because if the company fell apart, obviously something was flawed there, but that's what I was being told. So I was just like pumped, dude. I got into a bunch of debt.
Yeah. You thought you were going to be balling,
Yeah.
That's rough, man. That's funny. But I guess it led you to where you're at. So that's cool. So with the sales stuff, I know that you've got like a ton of crazy results in a bunch of different fields. Can you talk at all about some of your top like student results? I saw a video you recently posted that had me thinking about this topic.
Yeah, Maggie is one of our students. She just closed. It was a $30,000 speaking gig over email. No phone call. That was pretty epic. And then one of our clients, Alex, who runs a Magento company, so custom software dev, we did a consult, and basically we had him go after his current clients to get him to upgrade from Magento 1 to Magento 2. I think he emailed 4 people. 3 of them ended up getting back. 3 of them bought, and he made, I think, 100K off of that in under 30 days. So there's some big wins there. I don't know. It all comes down to optimizing your current system. Like, this wasn't Maggie's first speaking gig, but it was her biggest. And it wasn't Alex's first sale of a Magento client, but 3 in 30 days was actually one of his top months. So I think that's where it all comes down to. It's all about just taking what's working and optimizing it. And then if nothing works yet, scrambling like a maniac to figure out something that's working so you can double down on it.
Yeah, definitely. Another part of that we're talking about is, you mentioned scrambling, specifically agency owners. You're talking about how, most agency owners can scramble to get clients, and they're kind of just doing this cycle where they are kind of comfortable and then they're sort of scrambling, and they don't have any system in place for lead gen. So can you talk about it all? Like, what are the top couple things that you see people doing wrong, and what you tell them to do to kind of get that system rolling in their own companies?
I'd say the main problem is exactly what you said. And I've seen this at agencies that have 20 million in revenue and tiny one-man shops. It's you know how to go to events, right? You can go to events, you can generate leads there. You know how to get referrals, how to ask people to send you clients. You even know how to answer Quora questions probably and generate leads that way, how to post to social media, how to cold email, how to cold call businesses if you really need work. Like, you know how to do all this stuff. But while you're working, you feel like you don't have to. And so by the time you go and do the marketing that you already know how to do, you're done. Like, you're in this feast or famine mode, and then that leads you to taking on clients you don't normally want, and then you end up in this vicious cycle of just taking referrals. I've seen companies that have 20 million in revenue that are still 90 to 100% referrals. It's bad. So what to do instead is to generate more meetings than you can handle in your niche. And the way to do that, easiest way I've found off the bat is cold email and cold calling.
Oh man, that's like the answer nobody wants to hear. It seems like there's so many people online advertising that there's like some magic bullet for B2B leads.
There is a magic bullet. The magic bullet is make a list of the companies you want to work with, write a custom compliment, what you like about them, send them an email.
Yeah. It's like actually doing the work is the shortcut.
It's doing the work, but I mean, even for X27 today, I just got the stats back. We sent 30 emails. And within 4 hours, we had 1 meeting. And I mean, that's decent. It's a little lower than, I think it's going to turn into 2 meetings, 3 meetings off of follow-ups. But I mean, it's not like it takes a week to come up with 30 first lines. That was like an hour of work to get 1 meeting. We got 8 hours a day that we could be doing this.
Yeah. No, totally. That's so interesting, man. I don't know. It seems like it feels, when I'm doing prospecting, it feels like every single part, like building my lists, getting enough research about the person. Like, I know you have a system for a 1 line, but I'm still like, I generally add a little bit of like something that's customizable in each part of an email I'm sending. And I feel like every part just takes me so long, man. Like,
yeah. And that could be one of the issues with why you're struggling. One of the reasons why I boiled it down to just the single first line is because I had issues with sending emails. I couldn't, if I'm working too hard, or if there's too many custom fields, or if it just takes too long per lead, I'm not going to do it. It takes maybe 3 minutes to do a custom first line. And we've got a team now that does it for us. It takes pennies. It's just paying for freelancers to get the actual leads and get the data. So the biggest thing, you can customize each email, right? In an ideal world, I would write custom emails, but I would rather somebody send 40 emails a week than have them not send any emails because they don't like customization.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. No, totally. That's awesome. And I know that you guys, just in case people are interested, I know you guys have consulting. Do you guys have any training products right now that you guys are offering for people to learn how to set a system like this up?
Yeah, we have epicmailmachine.com, which is our email course. And actually that goes over how to get 100K clients with no portfolio even. It goes over partnerships. So if you don't have any portfolio, how to find agencies and reach out to them to get them to let them to let you use their portfolio, and then you could use that to get more enterprise clients. Because that's another big thing that agencies deal with when they're first starting out, is they don't have a logo that can attract other logos.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I was just going to say that, you know, it seems like when I talk to a lot of people that are in enterprise sales, a lot of the sales development reps, it's like, it sounds like they're just like blasting out emails and trying to rely on the name recognition of their company to get them meetings. It doesn't seem like a lot of people, there's too much more to it. That's surprising.
Yeah, it's the case studies. So not just the name recognition of their company, but it's the name recognition of the clients they've worked with. I know we got a lot of our first Experiment 27 clients came from my job as director of marketing at an agency in New York. So the agency I worked with was pretty well known, still pretty well known, huge actually in New York. And I used that in the emails. I got the boss's permission, my former client's permission. And that generated a lot more clients. He was actually talking to these clients and helping me, like being the advocate for me, telling them how well we did. So I used that to get more case studies. And then from there, use those case studies to get even more. A lot of it is just trading up. I actually got the job at that agency by trading my case studies up the same way. So that's been the entirety of my career, is like, you do one small thing, then you try to frame it in the most like successful way possible. And then you just kind of keep trading up until people give you bigger opportunities.
Totally. Yes. I think, yeah, that's important. Man, there's so many things I want to ask you. Well, let's start with this. So recently you took these skills that you developed in, you know, packaging ideas, products, setting meetings, closing sales, and now you're taking it and moving into entertainment. So you produce your own video, you have this piece of work that you've executed on, and now you're trying to sell something different. Can you talk about that at all, or talk about why you got into that?
Why did I get into entertainment?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just kind of felt like it, dude. I like comedies. I watched a lot of TV growing up, and that's mainly the reason why. I felt like I needed to do something passionate. Plus, selling a TV show is very similar to B2B sales. So yeah, we ran the same process. Me and my little brother went out to Hollywood, and we went to the Comedy Store. And our first client was actually Pauly Shore, who's the owner of the Comedy Store. And we just walked up to him and we were like, hey, dude, we want to make an animation for you. We offered to work for free. And he actually luckily had an animation idea. We ended up working for free for like a month to put this thing together. And that was our first project. We've been able to leverage that pretty hard. And then we used that to get some other people involved. And then we actually used that. The writer of that Pauly Shore thing became he had a TV show idea, and that's the main show that we're getting traction with right now, is his TV show. So it's just, you know, whatever. We use the same thing. You know, work for free to get the first client, major case study, and then trade up.
Yeah. It's a virtuous cycle. Man, I love that. That's crazy. You guys, it sounds like you guys made this happen pretty quick.
I mean, it's been about a year. We still haven't sold a TV show. We've gotten close a few times. Our reality show concept almost worked. We've done, this isn't the first time we've done this. This is just, and it's not the first time the writer on the TV show's tried either. He's been trying to get the show sold for 8 years. Like, it's only in the last 3 or 4 months that, like, you know, cold email is working. We're putting it out. The big thing that's working for him, the big change, is it was a 2-pronged strategy. The first one was, we're trying to get as many big names attached as cameos as possible. So this guy is a door guy at the Comedy Store. He's worked with Pauly a lot. And so he's got access to a lot of these big name comedians. So he's been asking them for advice on his show and what he should do. And then he's been asking them to cameo. And then we can use those in the emails. We use those in the emails to get a showrunner attached. And showrunner is somebody that's been working on major TV shows. And now we use that showrunner's name and the comedians together. We got a package. Now we can go out and sell to networks.
Oh, yeah.
Very simple, dude. Very, very simple. Took me forever to figure out.
That's awesome. No, that's cool. That's so cool.
But yeah, the goal is to create, I want it to be a TV show selling system, because I don't want this to be just one show that we sell. I'm trying to create a whole production company.
Huh. So when you say a TV selling system, do you mean like just the like connecting all the people and selling the
Yeah.
offer to people? Or do you mean like, what do you mean by production studio? You mean like the actual shooting and filming as well? Like part of it?
No, production studio. So getting shows made. Exactly what I talked about. But on with more people. So like people want to make a TV show. All right. We run them through this system. We kind of build a package. We get the showrunner. We talk to the networks. We sell the show. It's very similar to, if you ever read, there's this book called Creative Artist Agency. There's another book called Who is Mike Ovitz? Mike Ovitz used to run Hollywood in the 80s and 90s. He actually invented the Coca-Cola bears, like those white bears. He invented that entire campaign. He made Coca-Cola like billions and billions of dollars. But his entire thing was creating these packages. So he used to say that, or he said in this book that most of Hollywood is just faking it and kind of putting it together. And I resonated hard with that because that's exactly how I sell everything. You just get a couple people hyped up. You kind of create a thing that never existed before.
What was the name of the book? I'll have to check it out, man.
Creative Artist Agency was CAA, I think is the name of the book. And then Who is Mike Ovitz is more, as a startup guy, entrepreneur, you'll probably like that one. That's his autobiography.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll check that out. I know there's another one called, I think it's like The Hit Factory, but it talks about this dude that was really big in the music industry at packaging up talent. He's like the guy who started all the boy bands and like, I think it's called The Hit Factory. It's so interesting though. Exactly what you're talking about.
Well, there's something to that. I really resonate with those type of people because it's like that guy who started the boy bands. I'm blanking on his name. I think he's in jail right now. But before he got arrested, he was very good. Like if somebody told him, or if he told somebody he wanted to be in the Backstreet Boys, people would laugh at him. And yet now, he ended up running Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like all these different people because he just figured out how to do it. He didn't need to sing. It turns out no need. You just need to find singers that don't know how to market themselves, find songwriters, and just kind of put them togetger.
Don't worry about all that other stuff.
Yeah, he discovered Max Martin, who right now runs. I mean, he's got so many hits on the.
That's the guy I'm thinking of, Max Martin, man. Yeah.
Okay, so Max Martin's one part, but the guy that put the Backstreet Boys together, it's a little bit of a better story. He was like an insurance salesman, and he discovered Max Martin. Max Martin was doing almost nothing before this guy came out of the woodwork, and then he got all these hits.
That's awesing.
Yeah, the guy that's in jail is the one I respect.
Yeah, probably the more exciting life. Man, that's so interesting. So how are you gonna? Okay, so anyone that doesn't know, Alex is running Experiment 27. How much hands-on time does this take of you now? Are you gonna keep doing this, or are you gonna transition out of that?
X27, I'm the chairman now. We've got a general manager that runs the day-to-day.
Nice.
And then Robert used to be the CEO. He's still technically the CEO. He's more of like the COO now. He's almost the chairman. Now I almost outsourced my other job. But no, I spend like 30 minutes a week on it.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, you're very hands-off. Wow. So full-time into this entertainment thing.
Yeah, so I run X27. The consulting stuff takes a lot of time, actually. Not selling it, but just fulfilling it. So I'm going to try to optimize out of that. And then the course takes almost no time. Actually, everything takes no time except for the consulting. That's what takes all the time. Yeah. And then entertainment, but I don't see that as work. And I don't even really see consulting as work. I think I'm doing everything only stuff that I really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, with X27, the key to getting that down to 30 minutes a week was letting people do the work they were hired for and not jumping in and trying to change it. I let Robert, he basically plateaued our company for 3 or 4 months. And then I had to come when he was the CEO, and I had to come in and we had to work together on figuring out a plan to move forward and try to, change the systems in a way that led to constant growth. But I was fine to let that happen because I know what it'll lead to. I know it'll lead to a multi-million dollar business and one that takes no time. If I wanted to work constantly, I'm sure we could grow a little faster, but I'm optimizing both for money and for freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Different objectives. So it sounds like you're pretty experienced, man, with setting up these systems, obviously now, not just in terms of lead gen. So what sort of advice do you have for someone that's just starting an agency or maybe like a year in and they're trying to get closer to where you're at? Because it sounds like you systematize it pretty well.
Sure. So the first thing to do is agencies work in basically 3 parts. So there's marketing, sales, and production. I would remove yourself from 2 of those as quickly as possible and hire people to do both of these. Ideally, if you're new, you can drop marketing and you can just focus on sales and production. Production would be like making the ads if you're in an ad company, or like making the apps. That's the easiest one I've found to find high quality talent for. Sales talent, good sales talent's very expensive and very hard to find. So I would focus on sales. That's exactly what I did. I hired Robert he was just a content writer. He became the CEO eventually, but I just you see this light all over me?
I do, yeah.
I look like Hellraiser.
Got the blinds going, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if there's anything maybe I can open these. Is that better or worse?
Nice.
Oh.
Are you on the West Coast? You gotta be on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's why. Cool. So you said to outsource marketing first?
Outsource production first. Mm-hmm. So I dropped marketing because if we're talking about a new agency, you basically have revenue generation and fulfilling the work. Get somebody else to fulfill the work as quickly as you possibly can. There's so many of these people, way more producers that work at a very high level than there are salespeople. So do that first. Second thing is focus exclusively on generating revenue and making work for that person. I would say there's a couple ways to do that. One would be deciding exactly who you want to work for and cold calling until you're booked solid. Cold calling and cold emailing. Number two, once that's done, you can focus on the other stuff. I would hire a salesperson once that's done. Use that revenue to hire a salesperson who can continue cold calling and cold emailing, and then you can work on marketing after that, which is Quora posts, messing around with directories like Clutch, YouTube, all that stuff. But all that comes way after. That's the biggest thing I learned. It's only important to do the work that nobody else can do. And what I always try to do is try to make all the work I do as outsourceable as possible. So if I know step-by-step how to generate $1 for experiment 27, and it's step-by-step like that, and I record a video of me doing it, and I write it in a doc, or I have my assistant do that for me, then somebody else can do it. That was actually our major insight this year that's leading to a lot of success and actually allowed Robert to stop spending all this time in the agency also. Yeah. Which is we did create now, but we're still working on it. We tried to create a full machine with the agency. So every single role in the agency is hot swappable. If somebody's failing or somebody's not hitting their KPIs, they can not only be replaced, but we have another candidate ready to go, ready to put in their place. And that's where you have to be if you don't want to work in your business. And then the other thing, I think third thing, is psychological, which is you got to be ready for your company to completely fall apart. That's one of the big things that I keep coming back to is like, I really don't care if I fail because I know I can just put it back together and it'll just like kind of work out. And as long as you're convinced that is true, then your people can make a lot of mistakes and you'll be fine. I know we've made a bunch of mistakes at X27. We've fired 4 or 5 salespeople we've gone through. We fired a director of operations. We've had a couple people, major director level people quit on us. It's just stuff goes wrong. And as long as the system is built in a way that it can keep going, then the business will persevere, keep making money. Yeah, that's the big thing. So you as a founder, your job is to figure out how you can make money profitably. That's it. And try to outsource everything else, including the actual making of the money. Your job's to figure out how to make the money, not to make the money. Yeah, that's the hard part, man. That's definitely the hard part when you get started. I know as soon as I started, was just like, let me see how much work I can work myself into 12 hours a day. Yeah. Well, the only problem with that is you're doing the work. Because if you were like, let's see how much work I want to get myself, you reached out to all your referral networks. Maybe you got 4 clients and then you outsourced all that work. Yeah. Now you can go get 4 or 5 more clients. You're good to go. The problem is when you do the work yourself, now you're trapped in this cycle. And it's actually almost because now you're stretched for cash. The only way to really get out of that is to either land a big client or to go into debt at that point or borrow money from somebody. Yeah.
No, that's true.
Like it really is a trap. Yeah, it's a trap. People get in. I had to go and did that to start mine.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. When you started X27, or was this something before?
When I started the first version of X27, which was a sales training company, yeah, I just put it all on credit cards. I think I went $9,000 in debt. I had like a sales guy going. I did it totally wrong. I don't recommend doing this. But yeah, I went on Upwork and I had a sales trainer totally outsourced. I had the cold calling outsourced because I was selling lead gen. Yeah. And then I was just doing the sales myself. Actually, looking back, as I say that now, the only mistake I made was not outsourcing sales. Like I had production fully outsourced. Literally, if all I had to do was have a sales guy, and I would have been totally fine.
Wow, that's crazy. that's pretty wild for your first shot, man. That's pretty good.
It wasn't my first shot. This was like X27 was maybe my fourth or fifth business. I tried doing a whole bunch of stuff, dude. I tried doing consulting. I tried doing like agile product development. Yeah, and just nothing was working. This was my most serious shot because I really lucked out. My CEO at the agency that I was working for really gave me the opportunity. They became our first client, and so I had a little bit of a runway that I could go on.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and he was letting me work out of his office too.
Wow, yeah, that's great, man. That's definitely an advantage.
Yeah, but that came from me generating results from him. You know, I feel like if I wasn't generating any results, he would have kicked me out.
Yeah, he would have given you the boot for sure. So you mentioned that, you know, if you get to the point where you're not too bent out of shape about your company falling apart, like that will help you to manage it, and you need to get to that point. When did you get to that point? Was it just automatic from the start? You knew it's like no big deal, I'll recover, or was there a certain point where you had enough experience to know that you could recover from just about anything?
So I had that as a theory basically my entire life. You know, it's like, whatever, you know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I got to get a job. You know, I don't know. I've worked at Jimmy John's before, you know, like what's the worst that will possibly happen? You know? Yeah. As long as I don't do like heroin or something, as long as I don't get into hard drugs, I'm good to go. Yeah. So there was that. And then I really learned it when the other company fell apart. And I basically on paper, my net worth was $10 million. And then it went to zero. Cause you know, it's like overnight. And then I was just playing a bunch of banjo kazooie, drinking a lot. And I realized, I was thinking, I was like, is this my whole life now? You know, if I don't put this together, you know, I'm done. Luckily that only lasted like 3 days. Right. Some people get stuck there for 20, 30 years. I don't know why that only lasted 3 days for me. Maybe it's a brutal honesty that I have with myself. But I still got to play so much Banjo Kazooie. You know, I beat that entire game the first month that we really scaled X27. We closed 400,000 in annual recurring revenue, and I was playing a bunch of Banjo Kazooie at the same time. The Banjo Kazooie actually drove me.
You had to get out of that. You had to get out of that spot.
Yeah.
Wow. 400,000, man. That's really good. Just that quick.
It was quick, but it's just because we had an offer that worked. So before we were selling this review, but I didn't actually know how to frame it. And the big insight I had was I've been working with this agency in New York, and I was director of marketing, and I know what works. And I have this video of him where he's talking about how much money we made him, which was $1 million in 6 months, which is really dope. And so the big insight I had was, let me just email a bunch of digital agencies and I will review their marketing materials and I'll figure out, you know, opportunities for improvement. And so we charged $5,000 for that initial marketing review. And I mean, that was it. You know, as soon as you get the insight, it seems so obvious looking back. But no, that was it. And then the marketing review was tied to a retainer. So once they do the review, we went between $4,000 and $8,000 a month. And I mean, that's basically our business model still at X27. We've changed a little bit. We try to sell the retainer first and not the review now, because we can sell year long now if we do that. Yeah. But I mean, that was basically it. And that came from one of our clients. One of our clients we had really screwed up with at this other lead gen company, and they were threatening to sue me. And I was like, what can I do? What can I do to make this up for you? Yeah. And then I think she was just lazy or something. She's like, well, I got all this marketing work I've been putting off. If you could look at our social media and you just come up with like a plan of action for us, then that'll be good to go. And I think we owed them, like they could have taken like $8,000 to $9,000 from me, So I figured this is probably worth 8 to 9K, we're giving it to them for free. So yeah, no, I just took those same bullet points that she sent me after I delivered the work and she was happy with it. And those are the same bullet points I was sending to our clients, like exactly what she asked for, like review of our Twitter, review of our Instagram, like whatever it was.
Yeah. So she inadvertently just made you like hundreds of thousands of dollars, basically.
Yeah, I don't know why she couldn't have done it. Some people just don't see it. They're not there.
That's wild. That's super interesting. I just have a couple more. I know I don't want to cut too much into your day here. One of the ones is, I'm sure you've seen this. A lot of people have these case study funnels now where they go by a lot of different names, but usually someone lands on a page and they ask them to opt in for a case study, to set up a sales call from there, etc. Have you seen those? What do you think of them? What should people change about how they're doing those types of funnels?
I would try to go for a direct sale. If you can't get a direct sale, the channel's not working. Simple as that.
What do you mean when you say direct sale? Because that can mean a lot of things to different people.
I mean, you send somebody a cold email, they hop on a call with you, and within 2 calls, they pay you. And if you can't do that, the channel's not working. So maybe, I have seen this with AdWords. I have seen this work for agencies with AdWords, but the problem is it costs $800 or $900 to get a client, maybe more, which is cool. Like, if a client gives you $100K and you paid $800 for it, that's amazing. But I mean, with cold email, if a client costs you $8, this is a little better. I don't know. I have AdWords running for X27 also, but it's just like the numbers don't make, like, why am I paying? That's all. Every time I look at my AdWords dashboard, I'm like, why am I paying so much for these clients when I can get the clients for free or basically free using cold email and other channels like that. YouTube also has been huge for us.
Really? How's YouTube ads or just to attract warm leads?
No, just using YouTube videos, making tutorials on the stuff that we sell, which is sales training, sales consulting, cold email videos. Actually, YouTube right now is fueling all 4 of our 6 companies. Consulting, the course, X27, and then we also charge for YouTube ads, so sponsored videos. And that's all coming from our YouTube.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd heard a lot of people say they use it. Is that mostly, are you getting people for the agency like coming to you just from seeing your tutorials and things?
Yeah. So we don't do a case study. What we do is we have some free thing that they download. So it's either our contract template or like our optimization checklist for cold email. Like we give something away for free. And then they get hit with a bunch of emails that pitch. Autoresponder pitches the course. And then after that, they're pitched on consulting and X27.
Oh, wow. Nice. Okay. So that's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to ask is just in general, is there anything you see people doing in B2B sales that like they absolutely should stop? And what would that be?
The main thing is not having a customer in mind. And not knowing not knowing the benefits that customer gets from working with your agency. So for instance, you do ads, right?
Yeah.
Who's the most successful client, or like, what is like the business of the most successful client that you've had?
Revenue, like yearly revenue.
Profit for your agency plus results. Like who has the most results and made you the most money?
Trying to think. Probably some of the larger e-commerce companies we work with. Like we have a couple who are just right around the 8-figure mark, yearly recurring revenue. So those are probably for us like the best, highest paying, highest retainers. Yeah.
Cool. Then focusing everything you have on those clients. That's basically it. So if you are the guys that only generate massive results for these specific, not just e-commerce, these specific e-commerce companies, you're over this amount of revenue, maybe you're in these industries. That's where most business owners screw up. Part 1, where most business owners screw up. Part 2 is then framing everything towards the benefits of that. So it's like for you, it would be, why work with an advertising company that works with all of these sorts of different businesses? How do you know they're going to, like, what's their e-commerce experience? We only generate, X percent return for e-commerce companies over 6 million in revenue or whatever it is, like getting that specific.
Yeah.
And that works. I mean, for X27, our slogan now is we book meetings with billion-dollar brands. That's it. If you run a B2B company, you want more enterprise companies, you want more logos on your site, you know where to come. We're not going to spam for you. We're just going to get you high quality meetings.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's going.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's just not being afraid to leave money on the table in theory, because it leads to a lot more money. A lot of agencies screw that up. They go super wide, both with services and with the niches that they serve. And in marketing specifically, that's a killer. But in most businesses, that's a killer too.
Yeah. Oh my God. And agencies, if your services are too wide. No, that's awesome, man. Being willing to leave dollars on the table will get you more in the long run. I couldn't agree more. It's
if your services are too wide, so you're building websites and mobile apps and you're doing marketing. Which one of those are good? One, but then it's also the industries you target. You help grow, personal training businesses and multi-million-dollar agencies and huge e-commerce companies and tech startups. Like, do you have case studies for all those? Or?
Yeah, that's a lot. That would be tough. Well, Alex, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. Is there anything else that I forgot to ask you that you'd like to talk about or tell people about?
To tell people about, if you want free stuff, you can go over to b2bsalestraining.org. If you want to work with us and get some billion-dollar brands, that's x27marketing.com. And if you want to join the course, learn how to get 100K clients with no case studies, and also do it cold email, that's epicmailmachine.com.